Hey everybody, Tom Barnes, Chicago Scene. Do you recognize this building? You might have driven by it, didn't even know what it was, but it is the clock tower of the old Pullman factory here in the Pullman neighborhood on the far south side of Chicago. It's also the first ever national park in Chicago. I'm going to talk to Park Ranger Terry and Julian, who Julian is another organization, but they are all in the combined effort of the preservation of the Pullman story and the Pullman neighborhood. But I'm on the grounds of the Pullman factory right now, and here's some remnants of what once was. And those gates up there I'll get to in a second and tell you about it. But I'm going to go inside, take a look at the exhibit, walk around the neighborhood, and see what the Pullman neighborhood is, was, and will be in the future for the Chicago Scene. Let's take a look. Since 1880, that clock tower has stood here at the Pullman factory, now the Pullman National Monument. I'm here with Park Ranger Terry. How are you?
I'm great.
So what's it like to be a park ranger at something like this that's new to the city of Chicago? It's the first ever national park in Chicago and second in Illinois.
Yes, it's an exciting time to be here at Pullman and a great honor to be the superintendent here at Chicago's first national park.
And for people who are not familiar, can you just give me a rundown of what is kind of behind you here in the grounds that, and also the exhibit that people can go to here?
Sure. So we are standing here in front of the administration clock tower building on the historic factory site. And this was the ground central for the Pullman manufacturing operation in the 1880s and early 1900s. And now it's the headquarters for the Pullman National Monument. And the building behind us is owned by the National Park Service, but the grounds that we're standing on, the historic factory site, is actually Pullman State Historic Site operated by the Illinois Department of Natural Resources.
And you guys kind of work together to kind of help tell the story among other organizations in the area, correct?
Correct. Pullman is a partnership park, and the state of Illinois is one of our key partners. We work very closely to provide what we want to be a seamless visitor experience.
And for people who are not familiar with this, so 1880 is kind of when this all started. Just go into like the footprint of how big this was in the different buildings among the one that you're seeing here, and what this building originally was.
Okay, so when George Pullman came down here south of Chicago, he bought about 4,000 acres of land, and 206 acres is now designated as Pullman National Monument. But his vision was to have a comprehensive manufacturing facility here co-located with a residential neighborhood. And urban planners today talk about, they want people to live and work and play in the same area. And sure. George Pullman had that vision 140 years ago. And that's kind of the exhibit experience. You kind of learn about Pullman and whether or not he was a control freak or he was just a brilliant mind ahead of his time. I mean, Google's doing that now, Apple's doing that now, where they have these campuses for their employees. This is essentially what that was back then, being compared to the railroad, being compared to the internet nowadays, right? Correct. And company towns are, they're not a new idea. George Pullman wasn't the first person to build this kind of community. But what George Pullman's vision was that not just in manufacturing of the luxury rail cars, but also in the community that he built, was that he wanted it to be luxurious. He wanted to high quality homes. They weren't ramshackle tenements. They are high quality homes, which is why they're still standing here today and still make wonderful homes for people here in South Chicago.
Kind of one of the groundbreaking things was the indoor plumbing of some of these homes, right? Even so much there's an exhibit when you walk in through the museum inside, right?
Absolutely. So a lot of the tenement homes here in Chicago at that time did not have indoor plumbing. They had outhouses. A lot of times those outhouses might have been shared by multiple households. So it really was a big deal that every residence here in Pullman had indoor plumbing. And George Pullman, he actually went to Europe to recruit workers to come back here and work in his factory because he wanted to make sure that he had really highly skilled carpenters and painters and artisans to work in his factory. So he had to have something pretty attractive to convince them to leave their homes in Europe and come over here to Chicago and live. But indoor plumbing was one of the attractions.
And the other attraction being the actual cars themselves. I mean, they were luxury. You said they were privately companies would privately lease them and add them to their freight, and that would be the opportunity for people to just enjoy the traveling experience across the country in luxury itself.
Absolutely. The Pullman luxury rail cars revolutionized railroad traffic, travel, not just in the United States, but actually around the globe. And up until that point, railroad travel had been pretty uncomfortable, unpleasant. It was noisy, it was dirty, just really uncomfortable. And he changed that. George Pullman changed that with his vision for these luxurious cars that, they even developed wheels, rail car wheels that were made out of paper to soften the ride.
And that's another thing that's up the street, another building that's still, is it still here, or parts of it here? I saw it on that interactive map that you had. Yeah.
Yes, it's still standing. It's a housing operation now. But yes, the building is still there.
And you can see all that on that map that you have, where people who might be impaired in some way, they can feel the tracks. They can feel the legend that will tell you that these were buildings, these were houses and whatnot and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So the exhibits inside of the Clock Tower building have been designed, one, to be self-guided, so that you can go through at your own pace and learn as much or as little as you care to about the Pullman story. But they're also designed to be universally accessible. And so a lot of the exhibits you can explore by touch. We have audio to complement the physical exhibit. So yes, trying to make it as accessible so that people of all abilities can come and enjoy the Pullman story.
So if people want to come to the National Monument, is it open every day, or what are the hours like, and how should people go about finding that?
So right now our visitor center is open 7 days a week from 9 to 5 p.m. And you can learn more about us on our website at www.nps.gov/PULL. Or you can give us a call and talk to a ranger. Our number is 773-928-7273.
Well, I could talk to you all day, Terry. Thank you so much. And I don't want to take up too much time, because this is a community effort, really, where the National Monument is new to the neighborhood, but folks like Julian, who are with different parts and different organizations. Thank you, Terry. Hello, Julian. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
So, Julian, explain how this is all like a neighborhood effort in keeping the Pullman history alive enough for other generations to know about it.
Well, the folks in this neighborhood have worked very hard for many decades to preserve this living history community, and the Pullman National Monument acts as an excellent sort of table of contents, but there's a lot of other stories that you can go even deeper into the neighborhood. We have several museum spaces in this community: the A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum, the historic Pullman exhibit hall, and there are walking tours during the warmer months that you can walk around with guided tours through the neighborhood. And as Terry indicated earlier, these are quality homes that have been preserved in a very high quality and accurate state. There are annual house tours in the fall that you can participate in. There's just a lot to do in this community and a lot to see in a very exciting part of Chicago.
Yeah, I was just walking around earlier before I met up with you guys, and kind of walking through the neighborhood there and getting to that Circle Street. And one of the people in the neighborhood was like, hey, you doing a story? And, they started spouting off little facts about Pullman, like that was the only circle street in the city of Chicago. And what was in the center of that street that you were talking about earlier, that perhaps maybe one day it will be rebuilt?
So you're referring to Market Hall, and Market Hall was a community center right there in the middle of the town. It had some stores, some community meeting spaces. It burned down a number of years ago, and I represent the Historic Pullman Foundation. We're one of the partner organizations and the official nonprofit partner of the national park in this community, and we are hoping to rehab and rebuild that at some point. If you haven't been down to this neighborhood, there are a lot of ongoing projects to build those things out, and as you indicated, a lot of the folks in this neighborhood are historians themselves. They've delved really deeply into the information, and they're very friendly, very glad to talk to you, very glad to tell you about their participation in this history.
And that building kind of pales in comparison to what was known as the arcade, where there is there's a space in there, exhibit space, that where that once stood. But the arcade was this massive building. Unfortunately, it's been gone for almost 100 years. But you have an exhibition in there where you can kind of see what it was like and kind of the entire footprint of what was the Pullman area, right?
Well, we anticipate acknowledging the footprint of the arcade building, which was one of the very first indoor malls, if you will, that was built as part of the community. That footprint is not currently being acknowledged, but the historic Pullman exhibit hall stands on that space, and you can learn more about that innovative space at the exhibit hall as well.
And there's a beautiful mural that's on the backside of it, which I walked by earlier, and it's just fabulous. And it kind of walks, if you're just walking through that park area there, then you see the hotel, which is another fun little spot to walk to if you're on one of those walking tours.
That's right. Hotel Florence is a fantastic location, and that is overseen by the state, IDNR. And
all working together, huh?
Yeah, we're all working together. We're a number of different partners to tell this ongoing living American history.
So for people who want more information about the particular aspects that you and your organization kind of focus on, what's the best way for people to go about that?
You can go to pullmanil.org, which is the historic Pullman website, and find out the hours of the historic Pullman exhibit hall, and find out some of the activities that we're overseeing as well.
Well, thank you very much, Julian and Terry. I appreciate it very much. I'm going to swing over here because this is how I do it. Hi, how are you? I made her take off the hat. That's why she's holding it there. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. Before I forgot to ask, what's this building right here that we're looking at that people might drive by outside of the clock tower that they see here? Like, what is that in relation to the actual Pullman factory?
So these are the rear erecting shops that was part of the factory, and this is where they built the steel railroad cars. When they first started building the cars, they were wooden and smaller. When they went to steel, they needed a bigger facility, and so this is where they built the steel cars.
And then this is a part of the building that's now gone that used to be connected to the clock tower building right here, right? It kind of looks similar?
Yes, so the south, this is what we call the south slab, but there was a south wing here that mirrored what you see on the north side of the building.
And those are the famous front gates up that way, right?
Correct, the workers' gate, yes.
All right, thank you very much to the both of you. I appreciate it. Thank you. We'll see you guys later. All right, that is the story of the Pullman National Monument, the only national park in Chicago. And as I end my Chicago Scene segment, I'm walking through the historic workers' gates here at the old Pullman factory, TBARNAS at WGNTV.com. If you have a suggestion for the Chicago Scene, that's tbarnes at WGNTV.com. Thank you for watching as always. And if you got a suggestion like this one, please send it my way.